What's going on, Laker fans? D-Mac here. We've got tons of rumors to get into related to Kyrie Irving. We got the latest on Kyrie. But first, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Lakers 24A YouTube channel for all the latest Lakers news and rumors. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you really want to support the channel, smash that like button. And as always, some of your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Lakers 24A question of the day: how real do you think these Kyrie to the Lakers rumors are? And do you think that on opening night, Kyrie Irving will be in purple and gold? Let us know down below. And for all the latest Lakers news, head over to alllakers.com. What up, Laker fans? D-Mac here. We're coming at you with another episode of the Lakers 24/8 podcast. We have tons of sizzling hot Kyrie Irving rumors to get into. So buckle up, Laker fans. The NBA offseason is off to a wild start, and the Kyrie Irving to the Lakers rumors are really starting to heat up. According to Christian Winfield of the New York Daily News, Kyrie Irving has requested a sign and trade, and the Nets granted him the ability to seek that sign and trade. He wrote, Irving's camp has requested and received permission from the Nets to speak with other teams about sign and trade packages, according to multiple sources familiar with the situation. The belief among both league and player circles is that Irving is gone and the 7-11 era is over before it began. And then earlier this morning, Adrian Wojnarowski, he dropped this Woj bomb. He tweeted, ESPN sources, outside the Lakers, there are currently no known teams planning pursuit of sign and trades for Nets guard Kyrie Irving. No sign and trades can be formally discussed until after 6 p.m. on Thursday. Brooklyn isn't believed to have interest in available Lakers packages. He would go on to tweet, if Irving declines his $36 million player option, he would be eligible to sign with the Lakers for the $6 million exception. Deadline is Wednesday to decide on option. So the first big takeaway here is that it really appears that it is over with Kyrie Irving and the Nets. And to me, that was the biggest domino. Was this a leverage play for Kyrie to get a better deal with the Nets? That was always my thought. But the fact that this appears to be really over really changes everything. Now, if Kyrie opts into the final year of his contract at over $36 million, he can be traded without prompting that hard cap. Now, a sign and trade, that would lead to a hard cap for whichever team lands him. So if the Lakers do get him through sign and trade, they wouldn't have very much space at all to fill out their roster. So pretty much that's a no-go for the Lakers. So if you're the Lakers in this situation, you might be gaining a little leverage. Not a lot of teams out there can absorb Kyrie Irving. The Knicks, a lot of people have been talking about the Knicks. Well, they're after Jalen Brunson at the moment. And if you talk about that $6 million exception, could he actually take that? I think that's the $6 million question right now, is would Kyrie Irving truly be willing to sign for that $6 million exception, take a $30 million pay cut? It seems unlikely, but this is Kyrie Irving. And I think at this point, the big takeaway is that it appears that he is done with the Nets and that there's not very many teams that are interested in pursuing Kyrie Irving at this point. And if he does have to sign with one team for that $6 million, why not the Lakers? You go there, try to help them win a championship, and you prove yourself and you sign a big deal after that. So if Kyrie is truly bluffing and he doesn't want to be a Laker bad enough to take a $30 million pay cut and sign that $6 million deal, then the big question is, can you find a team to trade Russell Westbrook to in a 3-team deal? Because we know the Nets, they don't want him. He's not a great fit at all with Ben Simmons. It doesn't make any sense. So we don't even know how robust the market is for Russell Westbrook, if at all. Yes, that $47 million expiring contract does have value to it. He does have some star power, some cachet, and maybe you look at the fact that he was in a tough spot with the Lakers last season with their system, with all the injuries that they had. So maybe there's a team out there, but it's also unlikely when you consider just how sky high that contract is. But we got you guys all caught up on all the Kyrie Irving Lakers dating back to last week, so here we go. And as always, I'm joined by my man, Lakers insider Eric Yulo. What up, Yulo?
What's going on, Doug?
Hey, man, it's been a minute since we've talked about Kyrie, but a lot has happened, and it really started on Monday. Shams Charania of The Athletic, he got this firestorm started with Kyrie and the Lakers, and you've seen Sam Amick, you've seen Woj drop some nuggets. We're going to start with the Shams rumor. He wrote on Monday, however, multiple sources tell The Athletic that conversations about Irving's future have gone stagnant between him and the Nets. An impasse currently exists among the parties that clears the way for the 7-time All-Star to consider the open market those sources said. So first thing I want to ask you, Yulo, is when you hear that rumor, him at an impasse with the Nets, is this a leverage play? Is this rumor out there because Kyrie's people want it out there? What's just your initial thoughts on him having that impasse with the Nets, and how real do you think that is?
My initial thought is I love Pat McAfee for bringing Shams on and sort of asking him if he's getting used for leverage. And then Shams' response is, hey, I have multiple sources on this. So, yeah, Shams definitely kicked off the rumor mill there on Monday. Still a lot of things to be had, but I know you also have some other news that developed since Shams dropped that on Monday.
Yeah, and then, of course, we saw what Woj said the other day. He says the Lakers are considered the most significant threat right now for Kyrie Irving, but that would entail him taking $30 million less that he can opt into in Brooklyn. There's a $6 million taxpayer exemption he could sign with the Lakers with. So when you talk about the idea of Kyrie Irving taking less money, it's not as preposterous as you would think, because this is a guy that's left money on the table. Of course, he didn't get vaccinated, left over $17 million on the table. He's a very mercurial player. You never know what's going on with Kyrie. Do you think there is a legitimate chance that he'd be willing to take a $30 million pay cut just to sign with the purple and gold?
Kyrie Irving's probably the only high-profile NBA player who would willingly just flush $30 million down the drain. And something too, I mean, he already lost his Nike endorsement deal, his shoe deal. So that guy lost a lot of money last year. But if there's anyone who marches to the beat of his own drum, who will do things that no one else thought an NBA superstar would do, and yes, Kyrie is a superstar, it's him. I mean, you have Mark Stein talking about that. You have Woj talking about that, about him leaving $30 million to sign for the mid-level exception for the Lakers at $6.4 million. It's really, really interesting. It's also the most seamless way for the Lakers to get Kyrie rather than doing this whole sign and trade business.
I think when you look at this Lakers team, it really comes down to, is Kyrie Irving going to just will his way to LA? That's really the only way you can make this happen. If Kyrie Irving is going to leverage everything he has to get to Los Angeles, then it's a possibility. But other than that, I mean, I just don't see the realistic avenues to bring Kyrie here. But to me at this point, I think what it comes down to as well is, where's LeBron James in all of this? And what is LeBron James doing behind the scenes? And what's your take on that? What do you think LeBron stands in all this? Do you think he's highly motivated to get Kyrie to LA? We know LeBron James usually gets what LeBron James wants. Where do you think LeBron James is at right now when it comes to Kyrie?
Oh, I don't think he's got his phone on airplane mode. I'll say that. I mean, LeBron's doing something. He always is, late GM, whatever you want to call him. But I would assume he's pushing hard to make it happen. This is kind of his MO, right? Like this is what he failed with this roster last year. All right, we need to change this roster, and this is why he and Clutch were really pushing for Russell Westbrook to be traded at the deadline for John Wall. We already covered that, but this is his pattern of behavior. This didn't work. Tear it all down. Change it. Get me another star. I'm sure he's pushing for this, whether or not it's like really based in reality. As far as the sign and trade goes, like I don't think so. But I go back to, I'm not buying the sign and trade rumors. I would buy that Kyrie is at least thought about signing for the taxpayer mid-level exception for LA. And what that means beyond next year, I don't know. But he's one of the few people who would even consider that as an option. It also means the Lakers wouldn't really have to sacrifice anything. They'd probably have to find something for Westbrook, because I can't imagine having Westbrook and Kyrie on the same roster. That's just wild to think about. But I'm not buying the sign and trade stuff at the end of the day, personally.
You have to jump through a lot of hoops. It's very complicated to get a deal done like that. But I'm just kind of going to push back on the idea that this is the guy we could see doing this. Everyone's saying Kyrie, the flat earther, he's just crazy enough to do a deal like this. I think there's a big difference between crazy and dumb. Okay, remember last summer we all talked about? We all said, hey, maybe DeMar DeRozan, he'll take the MLE and sign with the Lakers, right? Yeah. Where did he end up, and what kind of deal did he end up signing, right? A multi-year deal with the Chicago Bulls for a lot of money. It was never even in the cards, right? When it comes to that kind of money, until I see a player go out there and take that big of a discount, I just don't believe it. Because if you're Kyrie, I mean, just look at the ego hit there. This is a guy that takes things personally. He took things personally in Cleveland, took things personally in Boston. Everywhere he's gone, it's been a little bit of a circus with Kyrie. And I'm saying, if I'm Kyrie, I'm saying, wait a minute, I'm going to go to the Lakers if I win a championship there, maybe I hit a big shot in the clinching game. How much credit am I even going to get for that championship if LeBron James or Anthony Davis wins Finals MVP, right? If I'm Kyrie Irving, I say, look at that Lakers team last year. Russell Westbrook, he took all that heat. He got booed by the crowd at the crib. Why did that happen? Well, a lot of it was because the record was so bad because LeBron James and Anthony Davis couldn't stay on the court. So I think there's a universe out there where if Kyrie Irving joins the Lakers, I don't know, maybe AD misses 70 games because of injury. Maybe LeBron James misses 40 games because he's old. Maybe Kyrie misses 60 games because he can't find a good therapist and he's going batshit, right? So I think there's a realistic scenario where, look, I mean, if you look at the depth on that roster, if you're Kyrie, I mean, is that really, you know, a team that you want to join that you think you have a realistic shot of winning a championship? So until I see, I mean, the rumors are out there that he is, you know, these are more than rumors at this point, right? But are they rumors to get leverage with the Nets? Because I think personally, at the end of the day, he's from the New York, New Jersey area. He made Kevin Durant make the worst business decision that we've seen from a player in the modern era. Kevin Durant left multiple championships on the table. He really changed his legacy. KD could be a top 5 player at this point. I mean, let's just be honest. If he's stacking more chips in Golden State, winning multiple Finals MVPs, he's still a living, breathing bucket at this stage of his career, even post Achilles tear. So if you're Kyrie, you're going to leave Kevin Durant in that situation. I think that one thing I want to ask you too is where do you think KD is in all this? Because you know you don't want to alienate your big superstar. This was this big Brooklyn experiment. He's still under contract for multiple years. Do you think that KD goes to the organization and says, hey, you pay my boy Kyrie or I'm going to request a trade? Where do you think KD's at right now?
I think that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, he signed an extension in this past August. He's under contract for multiple. I mean, he's there long term. So I at the end of the day, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm pushing very hard in the Brooklyn front office to get that done. I think that's why Kevin Durant leaked the whole, hey, I'm monitoring the Kyrie situation. I may, pursue my other options if this doesn't work out with Kyrie. I think at the end of the day, Brooklyn needs Kyrie. Kyrie needs Brooklyn. I think he's going to stick around.
And look, how old was Steph when he won that championship a few weeks ago? 34 years old. How old is KD going to be next year? 34 years old. He still has a lot of basketball in the tank. And I think if you're KD and you go to Kyrie and you say, hey, what kind of deal does Kyrie actually want? Because you saw the Jonathan Isaac contract, right? With all the incentives to stay on the court. And right. Look, this is a realistic thing for the Brooklyn Nets. You have to feel for them in this situation because of how volatile and mercurial Kyrie is. But at the end of the day, this is Kyrie Irving. We know that teams sign players to big contracts that they make assets into, right? It's not always about, oh, we think this guy is going to win us a championship. We think that this guy's an elite player. And Kyrie Irving is a guy that's capable of those things. We've seen worse deals around the league for players that have worse track records when it comes to staying on the court. So to me, I think at the end of the day, Brooklyn is still going to end up with Kyrie Irving. And what I told you before we started this show is a lot of people, they're not talking about this rumor that was in the New York Post. Brian Lewis of the New York Post, he was a little more optimistic about the Nets' chances of keeping Kyrie. He wrote, despite the Nets and Kyrie Irving hitting an impasse in their talks, both sides are still working to find a happy medium in Brooklyn rather than an exit strategy out of it. Or, as the source told the Post, what's good for both sides. So I think at the end of the day, it makes the most sense for him to stay with the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant in the Eastern Conference. Because look, at the end of the day, if he forces himself out of Brooklyn, at the end of the day, man, he is the problem, man. If you say everyone stinks all the time with everywhere you've been, there's probably shit on the bottom of your shoe, right? You're the one who stinks at the end of the day. And I think that, look, if you look at Kyrie Irving, what he's done, what did he do before LeBron James went back to Cleveland? How many playoff games did he win? 0. Since leaving LeBron in 17-18, he was injured before the playoffs. His team made the Eastern Conference Finals without him. Then in 18 and 19, they lost to that Milwaukee team. He shot 33% in that series, 19% from three. He loses round 2. Then he leaves the Boston Celtics. Then he plays 20 games in 19 and 20. Then he doesn't play on the playoffs for the Nets, who made it despite him basically not even playing. And then in 20 and 21, gets injured in the playoffs, loses in round 2. He had a losing record without James Harden on the floor in 20 and 21. And then in 21 and 22, he plays 20 games with a losing record, gets swept in the first round. In the last 3 games, he averaged 15.3 points on 37% shooting. So to me, he's basically a wish version of Tracy McGrady without LeBron James. So I'm just saying, I mean, Kyrie Irving.
You built quite the coffin there.
I'm just, if you look at his numbers, I've heard of, I don't know, was it Bill? I heard someone compare him to Stephon Marbury, and I think that's unfair to him because Stephon Marbury, how many iconic shots do you remember him making, right?
I don't think Kyrie's headed to China anytime soon and gonna get a tattoo on the side of his head.
I don't think
he's in Marbury territory. It's an interesting analogy, but I don't think that's a fair comment.
But the reality is, not only is he basically not gotten it done as a player in the postseason, he also dealt with injuries. So I don't think that Kyrie realizes, hey, I don't have the same leverage as I think I have. We know this is a star-driven league, and players and teams, they're going to find a way to kind of work things out at the end. But, I mean, just kind of another question I want to ask you is, I mean, just how high are you on Kyrie? Because I think, of course, he's an upgrade to Russell Westbrook in the fact that he's a 3-level scorer. He dazzles with the basketball. He's a guy that can get to the rim. He can make 3-point shots. We saw last year that the Lakers struggle from beyond the arc. But how high are you on him just as a fit with this current nucleus of Lakers?
I mean, I think that's driving a lot. That's driving a lot of this, right? Is we know that Kyrie fits with LeBron. So it makes sense that there's a lot of reasons this could work on the court. Like everyone talks about the integration period with LeBron James, right? Like Kevin Love got absolutely trashed by LeBron himself, fit out, not fit in, or fit in, not fit out. I just butchered that, but you get the point. Kyrie doesn't have to go through that. Like Kyrie does not need that adjustment period with LeBron. Now, as for how that goes with like Anthony Davis and if Russell Westbrook was somehow there, that's a whole deal too. But I think the on-court pairing with LeBron and Kyrie, I have absolutely zero concerns about. All the concerns with Kyrie aren't about basketball, despite, all the stats you just rattled off, which are relevant. But I think Kyrie with LeBron, I think he'd be highly motivated to kind of rewrite history, or he'll wake up in December and not want to be on the Lakers anymore. And maybe he will be playing in China. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you bring up some great points right there as far as when you're getting Kyrie, because if you get him, like you said, it's probably not going to be in a sign and trade scenario. It is going to be on that 1 year, probably $6 million contract, and he's going to be incentivized to be on his best behavior because he wants to get a better deal. Also, you add the fact you have Darvin Ham in charge, and he's a guy that commands respect from his players. I don't see Kyrie disrespecting Darvin Ham. Also, we know Kyrie Irving, he is a Kobe disciple. Would Kyrie want to go in there and put on that purple and gold and disrespect Kobe Bryant? I mean, I think that to me would be a big no. I think that's something as well. But I think as also on top of everything else, there's a connection between Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving as well. If you remember, back when he was with the Celtics, Kyrie tried to recruit him to Boston through back channels. So we know that Kyrie and AD, they're cool, but yeah, I just don't see this happening. I mean, I think there's probably the same chance of Julius Irving playing for the Lakers next year as Kyrie Irving. No, I'm just playing. I mean, look, there's
a better chance of me playing for the Lakers Summer League team in a couple of weeks.
Summer League team. Hey, that's fair. And by the way, yeah, I mean, look, so Kyrie, he has until June 29th, either pick up or decline that player option. But even if he does decline it, that doesn't guarantee that he's going to be exiting stage left with the Brooklyn Nets, because he can still work out an extension with the Nets. And even if he picks up the option, that doesn't guarantee he's staying in Brooklyn either, because he can still be traded after opting in. So at the end of the day, right now, things can change. We know this is the NBA. I'm not trying to pour cold water on everyone's Kyrie to the Lakers dreams. Keep coming with those jersey swaps. It's exciting. It's the NBA offseason. It doesn't get any better. I eat these trade rumors for dinner. But right now, what do you think the percentage chances are that Kyrie Irving will be on the Lakers come opening night?
0.11 in honor of his jersey number. 0.11%. I think it's all leverage. I think there's the point 11 is if he just wakes up and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna be the first guy in his prime to take a Gary Payton, Karl Malone pay cut to go to the Lakers. Like that's the only avenue I see for this, rather than this crazy 3-team signing trade. So yeah, 0.11%.
So then my next question is, so I want to read this from Shams that you put on here on Thursday. There's an expectation that Kyrie will now proceed shortly into finding a new home via an opt-in, sign and trade potential situation. And then Sam Amick, he wrote, the Lakers noise again is really tough to pull off, but it's somewhat substantive there. You've got people within the league actually thinking like, man, I think he might find a way to get back with LeBron. And I do get the sense that LeBron would open that door, and we'll see if he can pull it off. But yep, Eric, we can go on for days, and I'm sure this won't be our last video on Kyrie Irving. No matter what, we're going to be following the rumors every step of the way. But Laker fans, I mean, look, we're here to keep it real with you. We give you the quotes, we give you the rumors, we bring our facts to the fight, right, Eric? But like I said, hey, if it happens, I would love to be wrong. Wouldn't you agree with that? Wouldn't you love to be wrong? Wouldn't you like to see, just for the whole circus of it? I don't necessarily think it would work out, but hey, I would pay to see Kyrie, LeBron reunited in LA. It would be a great story. Then also balance to the force, somehow getting Russ back to KD would be interesting as well.
We're in the content business. We're in the take business. That would provide incredible content and incredible takes if Kyrie was on the Lakers. I'm all for it. Bring on the circus.
Bring on the circus, guys. Hey, it's the purple and gold. We know we love some drama here in LA, but let us know down below in the comment section. What do you make of these rumors? Do you think it's leveraged by Kyrie's camp and the Brooklyn Nets? Do you think that he will end up in Los Angeles? Do you think he would be a great fit to pair alongside LeBron? And bottom line, where do you think he's going to be playing on opening night next year? Let us know down below. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Eric, you want to give your handle?
At EEULAU on Instagram and Twitter.
My man, Eric Ulo, the down low on the Lake Show. Go follow him if you're not following and reading Eric Ulo on Twitter and on alllakers.com. You're not doing this Lakers fandom thing right. So be sure to check him out. And we'll see you guys next time. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. If you really want to support the channel, smash that like button. And as always, go Lakers.